This podcast is a member of WGPRN, WildGamesProductions.com. It came from the game table, dice bags in hand.
We have one brain that we share between us.
To talk about role-playing for all across the land.
And you'll like it.
The original and basic, then one they scoured.
Kinda grabs you by the boo-boo, don't it?
To bring AD&D to the second power.
You want me to put the hammer down?
Welcome to THACO's Hammer, the best scam AD&D second edition podcast ever.
Okay, I got you. Hiya, folks. THACO's Hammer, number 67.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we are starting up again. The engine it turns over, we go. I'm DM Glen, and we have DM Brian here this time.
We are the podcast version of herpes. We never go away.
What am I saying this time? Every time. And we have DM Full On Gamer.
Greetings, Gamer Nation. We are back. We're having fun. We're going to do something on the show with people and stuff. Yay!
We're going to do something.
Or an imitation thereof.
A reasonable facsimile?
Something like that. Let's go to Hits and Grits.
What are you doing tonight? I don't know. What are you doing tonight? The burlesque Louie's Paradise. Miserable and lonely and stupid. What am I, crazy or something? I got something good here. What am I hanging around with you guys for?
Hits and Crits.
The hit and the crit and the many of them. Hi. What have we been doing? Full On.
Well, in gaming-related news, I was able to actually get away for a single day and attend the North Texas RPG Con, present Battletech Blood Mountain, get half of it done, and still have opportunity in pregame session to get a couple games of Edition Wars in with some guy. He was in a sling. How'd it go?
Oh, yes, this is also the THACO's Hammer version of the North Texas RPG Con post-con.
The aftermath, if you will.
Yeah, the aftermath, Broken Bones is on, and all.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, you have to touch on that a little bit, Glenn.
It hurts. I can't. So you open your mouth. What have you been doing, Brian?
Oh, let's see. Well, I haven't done too much gaming-wise. I took a trip out to the San Joaquin Valley in California, stayed there for a couple of days, or no, it was like 4 days, I should say, and came back, got back up to speed as far as work and all that other stuff goes. I have this concept for a couple of characters, in the back of my mind, poking at me. So I've been trying to get that.
That's one place I haven't been in California, the San Joaquin Valley. What is it? Like all migrant farm workers or what?
No, actually it's pretty well built up. It's a small town where I was, but it has like a main drag, and all your typical stuff. Oh, by the way, In-N-Out is overrated.
Is it?
Yes, to me, it's everybody who I've ever known who's lived in California swears by In-N-Out Burger. To go off on a slight tangent, I had In-N-Out the night before I left, and it's good. It's not great. It's not the.
But you gotta admit they got killer fries.
Yeah, their fries are. Yeah, they're okay.
They're. I love.
Hey, Lawton just got a Jack in the Box, and I'll give them props because they have hexes.
True. The gamer fry, yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, let's see what I've been doing. I went to the North Texas RPG Con with my Saber Die people and Full On. Full On was there doing his Battletech. Ran some Edition Wars for me, my DM Matt, also known as Odinist on Dragon's Foot, and another player, Brad. We had a hell of a good time. They had a hell of a good time. There was not a time when I didn't look at Matt and he didn't have a grin on his face.
Good for him.
Oh, yeah.
That's how a con experience should be.
Exactly.
Yes. Especially since it's their first con ever.
Mm-hmm.
Ever and ever.
Yeah.
He's 33.
I feel his pain. I've only been to like 3 cons ever since I've been in gaming for, 31 years now? Mm-hmm. 32, actually? Yeah, I've only been to 3 cons, one in Jacksonville, one local in Orlando, and Dragon Con in Atlanta in '94.
Oh yeah, let's see. What do we play? I made Bad Mike's B1 game, which I do every year. This year with Liz again and Jim Wampler. Oh, by the way, we have a convert in Jim Wampler. He is going to be going to every con now, and he lives like somewhere in like spitting distance to you.
Oh, me?
Right. Yeah, he lives up there somewhere.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's going to be going every year now. He just loves it so much.
Well, good for him. Oh, speaking of that, giving us a little, a minute to kind of address this. Are we going to do Gen Con this year or next? Actually, probably next. Yeah. Because we've been talking crap for a year about getting together at Gen Con and doing, live THACO's Hammer and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I remember us talking about getting together. I don't remember at Gen Con.
Well, there was an idea the four of us were kicking around.
I mean, couldn't we make it in some other convention?
Well, I think Indianapolis.
If you are a gamer who has been to 3 conventions in your life and one of them has not yet been Gen Con, you need to plan on a convention to go to. It's called Gen Con.
Indianapolis is easy to get to.
It was easy to make the jokes when it was in Indianapolis because it was at the Mecca, because this is the Mecca of gaming. You will go to Gen Con in your lifetime once.
Yeah. And my roommate, I have to at least pull up even with her because not only did she go to Gen Con years ago,
Hold on.
What?
Why don't you spend a weekend down here in Oklahoma City with me? We'll take you up there, take you to dinner and stuff, and you can spend the whole weekend convincing my wife to let me go to Gen Con.
Well, Glenn, you're the one who knows your wife. You can always just turn on the charm and put away $5 or $10 every so often, and before you know it, you might have enough money to make the trip. Maybe.
But I don't want to.
Oh, Glenn.
You don't want to make the trip, or you don't want to save money to make the trip?
I don't want to go to Gen Con.
Wow.
Why do you not want to go to Gen Con?
Well, I just come to the conclusion I don't want to go to Gen Con. I've been to Origins once. That's good enough for me.
Mm-hmm. Well, see, I think
Origins is a different flavor. Gen Con has its own unique vibe,
if you will. Yeah. And there's no excuse for me because I live only about 4.5 hours from Indianapolis. I can drive down if I want to. So, yeah, there's no excuse for me.
And North Texas, I see a lot of my friends, and it's cheaper anyway.
Well, yeah.
Anything I have to plan a year in advance, I mean, not counting the registration I just did for North Texas, but anything I have to plan for a year in advance, I don't really want to do.
Well, Glenn, okay, I'll make you a deal then.
Oh boy, here it comes.
Oh no.
Because you've been trying to get me down to North Texas for the last 2 years.
I have?
So, yes, you have.
I've just been trying to get you down here, period, for the last 2 years.
Well, yeah, I'm trying, I'll go down there if you come over there. How about that?
It's not going to be, it's not going to be, I'll show you mine if you show me yours. No.
Now, I wasn't going to go there with that. Oh my God.
Can I finish with North Texas? Thank you.
Sure, go ahead.
Anyway, we had a good time. B1, played B1. I had to skip the barrel maze game, unfortunately, even though Greg was my roommate, because I was in the ER. But getting my shoulder taken care of. But we got to play Tunnels and Trolls with not only Ken St. Andre Saturday night, but previously the day before with Janelle Jacquez.
Oh, cool.
Which was interesting, and she's going to do it again next year. It's interesting because none of us knew how to play TNT, including her. She was counting on Ken to be around to ask questions about, and he wasn't anywhere near it. She wasn't anywhere to be found. Mm-hmm. So we kind of sort of played. I think we understood how it went.
You kind of just winged it.
Yeah, pretty much. And then we played with Ken, and that was a fantastic game. It really was. We had a lot of fun, a lot of laughs. And the serving wenches there are great. They really are. Ken challenged one to a contest of strength.
Really?
Yeah, really. In the middle of the game, he said, let's do a contest of endurance. He goes down on his belly and he lifts himself up and he says, somebody count. And I counted to 3 minutes and he made it to 3 minutes. She only made it to 2. And it's like, it was like it was like Jack Palance at the Oscars. And it's like
just that kind of weird.
That kind of weird. It's like you don't flirt normally, do you? You know?
Oh my God! Yeah, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, but he has his own charm, and she just thought he was charming. And hey, got me. I had to break my shoulder to get a free Coke, but he was a DM.
The things you got to do to get a free Coke in Dallas, I tell you.
But let's see, the swag I got. I finally got Tome of Horrors complete. Can't say enough good things about that book.
Mm-hmm.
They had a lot of more vendors there. You know what was a weird thing about it?
What's that?
My friend Brad mentioned this. He said he was thinking of getting some miniatures, and there were miniature vendors there, but he said it was all monsters.
No PCs? Really?
No, there were no like wizards or warriors or anything like that.
Now,
it was all monsters.
I find that weird personally, considering that's Dallas, Texas's Reaper headquarters, Reaper Central, if you will.
Well, Reaper nearby. They're actually up in Denton. It's a bit of a stretch away. Plus, they have their own con.
Yeah, I mean, but they couldn't get one of their peons to come down with a trunk full of merch.
I'm not going to speak out of turn or out of school for that, but I'm going to assume that the flavor of the week for that is the fact that ReaperCon only happened like a month ago.
Oh, then there's that. Yeah, you're right. Then there's that.
Oh, by the way, one thing I got at the con, I got this at the silent auction, was the AD&D 2nd edition trivia game.
Oh, really?
Yes, and it's in great condition, and I thought maybe we could do an AP episode sometime of us just playing that.
Oh, God.
The four of us sitting around playing the trivia game.
Oh, I'm down. I'll do it. Yeah, I'll do it.
Because I used to have a copy of that. I got lost in a move and stuff, and I looked at the cards and again says, damn, these are hard questions.
Yeah, that's the thing. I know I've seen some of the questions. I know how hard they are. I'm like, oh God. I consider myself to be pretty experienced in 2nd edition. Some of these questions I had absolutely no clue.
That's right. Same way when I used to have it. Oh, and I do want to thank Brad and Matt for helping me get home with my shoulder. I slipped, in case people don't know, I slipped and fell in the tub Friday morning and broke my shoulder. But I stayed at the con anyway. But there was one guy, I don't remember your name. Please email me or let me know so I can properly thank you on one of these shows. But I was at the convention and we were playing B1 and we were on a break. And I was in the lobby. I was in the lobby talking to Greg, and I get this text on the phone from Vince saying there's a guy at the con has something for you, and he wants to see you. And it's like, okay, I know this isn't The Sopranos, so I don't. So I said, okay, tell him I'm here. And he did. I was like, he has to go all the way to Vince. But it wasn't even a convention. It was in Denton. And the guy said, I heard you talking on the show about wanting to learn Tunnels and Trolls and not having a copy. Here's an old copy of mine. Here, take it.
Wow.
And it was a complete box with everything in it.
Wow. Awesome.
And anyway, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. So that's my pretty much overblown con experience. I'm sorry. I was a little long-winded there, but
blame it on the painkillers, Glenn.
Blame it on the. Oh, thank you. Now everybody knows. Great.
You broke your shoulder, dude. What do you expect?
Okay, fine.
Come on.
Fine. Get Tome of Horrors complete, folks. It's a really good book. We have any emails?
Oh, we've got emails. We've got plenty of emails.
I'll read one.
All right, I have one right here. This is from a previous emailer. God, I'm out of practice. Emailer to the show, Terminus. Okay, he says, hey guys, long-time listener, second-time emailer. I've been playing in a 2E game for a good number of months now, and recently the subject of individual class experience rewards has become a topic of debate. Specifically, the discussion revolved around warriors, as we have a ranger druid, a fighter, and a fighter cleric. Which warriors are eligible to receive the bonus XP awarded to for defeating foes based on the hit dice as defined by the table 34 in the DMG. 2 of the players are in favor of giving the award to the individual who landed the ending blow, while the third feels anyone with levels in a warrior class who participated in combat should receive the experience points. How do you handle it? Well, that's easy for me. But
I got a pretty easy system too. I've posted a copy of my XP chart in the 2nd edition and in the 1st edition available library stuff here on OSR Gaming. But basically what I do is whenever you're dealing with the monsters and you're fighting them and you're getting your XP for the monsters, whatever the factor or division of that, whether it is full value, half value, whatever, because you guys had good plans, bad plans, it was a cakewalk, whatever. But I do have the benefit to the combatants who goes this way. Every point of damage you do, every point of damage you take, you get XP for.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
Every time you fumble or someone fumbles at you, you get XP for it. Every time you crit, every time someone crits on you, you get XP for it.
Mm-hmm.
That automatically, by just the virtue of you are a fighter type, gets you a pool of experience to draw from and earn more of than your peers, because you can take more damage, you can do more damage, and you can survive getting hit on and crit on, and you'll be taking more swings, therefore getting the chance to crit more often and fumble more often than your peers, and thusly earn XP as a warrior for doing warrior things while they're busy getting XP for picking pockets, hiding in shadows, throwing spells, and whatnot.
Correct.
Right.
The way I do it is that everyone who has a fighter component in their character, whether it be single class or multi-class, they get that award. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but I just thinking back to when I gave you guys XP in my game and I was calculating it out. You guys, just after like the first 2 or 3 sessions, had earned like, oh God, I want to say like almost 1,000 experience points.
Uh-huh.
And that bonus was a big part of it, because I have to go back into everything you guys have fought and defeated, and every XP of creature you defeat is like 10 experience points. So it starts off small, but it adds up, especially over, and by the way, a mea culpa on my part, when you guys went back to the hut and, rested and, dropped off the sisters, soon to be coming in section 7, say that 5 times fast, of Hammers of the Duchy, which I am editing right now and will be out later this week. I should have given you guys experience points right then, but I didn't. As a matter of fact, when we start session 8, we'll probably take, 15, 20 minutes or however long it takes, and I'll calculate it out, because I should have done that.
I'm still as a DM not used to giving sectional experience, other than that was really good. Take 200 out of petty cash for that wonderful. And usually I do that at the end,
right?
Because I try to remember that. Some people go, "Oh, take it right now," But I'm always like, okay, here's the experience divided up 5 ways.
Yep.
And then I'll go with the extras, like you did that thing, you get another 250 or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's why I like my chart. That's why I like my chart and put the work on the players, where all I got to keep track of is major plot point awards, individual, accomplishment awards, and just the base encounter XP. Encounters and magic items or whatever I'm going to award you XP for. Right. The individual earning XP is individual earning XP. It doesn't get divided. It doesn't get added up any other way. It's you did it, you earned it, you track it. If you don't keep track of it, that's on your fault. And I'll just audit it every once in a while to make sure you're staying honest. And really all it is you have the sheet, you start filling it in at the end of the game session, you erase everything because you've earned it all in, and it's clean slate, and you just keep going.
Right.
It works very smoothly that way.
And especially when you level up in the field. And there's no training involved. Yeah, that's more conducive towards that, which is how I'm running the game we're doing right now. With me, I took the individual class awards and I modified them accordingly, and it seems to work pretty well because it does keep everyone on pretty much the same level, because the spellcasters get XP for casting spells. Thieves get XP for doing thiefy things when they're not screwing over their own party. By the way, I'm really a stickler for that.
To have them screw over their own party?
No.
Oh, okay.
Let's put it this way. I mean, I don't mind a little petty larceny, like 100 gold piece gem or something like that. But if they're going for something really major and they pull it off, I'll give them the XP for it, because I could see the thief character finding a 5,000 gold piece diamond and doing a Malik from Conan the Destroyer and swallowing it, although that's going to tear up his system. Just so he could have that diamond for himself, I'll give him the 10,000 experience points for that. But at the same time, it's like, I'm going to look at him like, dude, I don't mind the minor stuff, but that's pretty major. Don't do it again. But that's me.
Right.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, as far as the fighter thing, like I said, I'd give that bonus to each one of the characters in the party, because they all have fighter in their character class description, 2 multi-class, 1 single. So yeah, they'd all get that if it was me.
Okay, who was that again? The janitor?
That was Terminus.
Terminus, thank you. Thank you very much, Terminus. Keep them coming.
Please, by all means.
Yes. Read another one.
Okay, let's see now. Okay, we'll go with it. We'll go with this one because this guy's new. Okay, he says, "Hey fellas, this is Tim, aka DM Heretic on the forums. I've been
Heretic.
Yep. Hey guy.
What's up, Tim?
Yep.
Some people call me Tim.
Where's that from?
You don't want to know.
You know where it's from.
No, I don't. That's why I asked you.
Holy Grail.
Thank you. That's why I don't know it. Anyway.
Indiana Jones and no. It's
Okay. He says, I've been meaning to write in for a few months, but I wanted to wait until I caught up on all the previous podcasts, and I finally have. Yeah, we've got 70, what, 75?
67. Right?
67, I'm sorry. Well, 68 with the Halloween thing. So yeah, it's a lot of listening.
I forgot about that.
He says, first of all, great show. Over the past 30 years, I've played every edition of Dungeons & Dragons. The second edition is my favorite, with Next fast becoming a close second. You lose points for that, Tim. Sorry. All of you blend really well together and make this one of the best podcasts out there. Thanks, and keep up the good work. It's much appreciated. You're welcome. It's praise like that makes me, when I'm not feeling up for it, to just pull up my big boy britches and go do it. Okay. Second, I think definitely Full On and Corey should co-DM something. Oh my God. That gives me chills.
You want a 6-hour podcast? Sure.
Yeah, I don't mind that. Yeah, three-part episode. Sure. I'm sure it'll make the Tomb of Horrors seem like Candyland. Wow. And I, for one, would love to play it. Finally, I just wanted to say that now that I'm caught up, I hope to contribute half as much as DM Kojo. Oh, you got a long way to go, Tim. You got a long way to go. Thanks.
But we welcome your attempt to join and try.
Yes.
Bring it on, man. Bring it on.
Yeah, bring it. Exactly. He says, thanks again for the hours and hours of quality entertainment. Kind regards, Tim/DM Heretic.
We'll tell you what, DM Heretic. Yeah. Hey, that's an idea.
What's that? Oh, Corey and Full On co-DM.
No, a Tomb of Horrors edition of Candyland.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
I sent you a copy of The Murder Hole. Not my fault you haven't run it yet.
Candyland.
Wow. Unbelievable. I'm sorry Corey missed that, because I'm sure he would have loved that. Okay.
Thank you, DM Heretic.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You want to do one more?
Want more.
Excellent, yes.
One more. Okay. This is from our newest constant contributor, DM Shag. He says...
Shaq is writing now?
No, Shag with a G. Not a Q, a G. Yeah. Okay. He says, great job on Splatbug 64. Loved hearing my previous email read on air. Thanks for your insights as to my questions about dual classing. I've been listening to some of the older Splat books and came across one where an emailer suggested a segment featuring the player's first AD&D experiences. Well, I thought this was a brilliant idea, and even though I've not heard of this segment on any of the Splat books I've listened to, I decided I would take the time and submit my own first time. So here it goes. Oh, this ought to be good. Yeah, actually it is. Circa 1986. I'm 9 years old, and my friend John invites me to play AD&D at his house with some other friends. We all show up at the appointed time, and John's dad, aka the DM. Now, see, I'm jealous. Right there, I'm going to pause it.
Me too.
I'm jealous. To have your dad as the DM, that's just cool. Okay. One of these days, I'll go into the nightmares of having born-again Christians as parents. And you're playing something that is socially regarded as demonic. Yeah.
No, I'm just getting that now.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. Okay. My first ever D&D character was an elf thief called Flinchy. He had a short bow, a short sword, and a horn. Had a blowing horn. We set out on our first adventure and soon found glory as maiden rescuers and orc slayers extraordinaire. The first night, our party makes camp and Flinchy draws the last watch. DM is describing the early dawn. Oh, this is interesting. This is the description the DM says. The dew has fallen and first rays of morning light are shining over the horizon. You hear a rooster crowing in the distance. I think, rooster means chickens. Chickens means eggs. Eggs means breakfast. I say, I go looking for eggs for breakfast. The DM asks, are you sure about that? Okay. When the DM asks you specifically, are you sure about that? You need to rethink it, but he's 9 years old, so I'll give him some slack.
And you hear squawk, squawk, squawk.
Yeah, exactly. And the rooster is actually a wyvern or something like that.
Cockatrice, thank you very much.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, that's almost worse. Yes, I say. As Flinchy heads in the direction of the rooster crowing, he comes across a bush with feathers all around it. Great, says I. Breakfast, here I come. Flinchy crawls into the bush to find chicken eggs and instead finds the tail end of an adolescent red dragon. Wow. Needless to say, I panic and rather flee for the hills like a good little first-level thief. Yeah. I instead draw my sword and sound a sharp blast on my horn to alert the others. Well, long story short, I got one hit in before I was breakfast.
He was right about the breakfast thing.
Well,
yeah,
we welcome breakfast. We welcome your tale of how you Boromired it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he Boromired it, all right. And not quite with such, should I say, dignity. Or at least how the movie portrayed it as dignified.
Both movies did it pretty well, I thought.
Okay, yeah. Fair enough. The rest of the party was able to drive the dragon off, and several days later found an elven ear and a pile of dragon dung, and thus poor Flinchy was resurrected. Wow. Oh dear. Eventually Flinchy would rise to conquer the evil worm that once made a meal of him, but that would take many years. So.
That was a very generous DM on that part.
Oh, yeah.
It's always been a long-held standard that the digestion process negates the ability to use pieces left for resurrection.
I agree. Yeah, 100%.
You got to get it while it's still in the gut or before it goes in.
Well, I like this other way. I mean, yeah, it's a little bit more work for the DM, but it's like, yeah, we pulled your ear out of some corn and other stuff.
Oh, jeez. Oh man! Wow.
Yeah, you would believe he must really have digestion problems.
Must
anyway. Yeah, but it was all fried. So
yeah, elves give them the runs, I guess. So in my first ever D&D game, over the course of 3 hours, I created my first ever character, fought my first ever dragon, lost my first ever character, and learned my first lesson about playing D&D. Never tempt the DM. Yeah, you think? On the bright side, however, I was hooked and have been a loyal AD&D player ever since. Keep up the good work. Looking forward to Splatbook 65, which we already did. P.S. My unfortunate nickname has less to do with fornication and more to do with how, as a teenager, I was a dead ringer for the Scooby-Doo character Shaggy. Wow. That's hard to live down.
And I thought I was flattering him by calling him Shaq.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, DM Shag.
Yep. And that's our emails for this section.
Okay, and you can send us emails at thacoshammer@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a number, too.
405-806-0555.
Thank you, Professor.
You're welcome.
And let us, if you don't mind, guys, we'll go into Rule 0 after this.
Hey, everybody out there in podcast land. This is Ronald Korn, principal at Haddon Heights High School and amateur gamer. I should say amateur game designer. Recently, I kind of hit the wires with a request or a plea for old school gaming, and so some supplies to Haddon Heights High School. Trying to get a gaming group off the ground, and certainly budgets are hard in high school, so we're looking for anyone out there who could possibly donate some supplies. We're looking for anything that you have, anything that ranging from minis to dice to old school books, any condition, any edition, any game. Really, we're looking, I'm trying to raise a new generation of gamers and looking at any means and any available way to do so, especially looking at playing some of the classics. So if you have any AD&D materials or basic Dungeons & Dragons, any first edition, second edition, old player's handbook, old DM's guide, old adventures, it doesn't matter, whatever condition, we will certainly, take what you have. Again, Ronald Korn, Principal, Haddon Heights, looking for donations to help support our gaming club. Appreciate anything you can do. Thanks. Hi, Ronald Korn again, and if you have any, if you would like to contact me, I can be reached by email at ronaldkorn@gmail.com. That's probably the easiest way to get a hold of me. I am on Facebook as well as at Ronald Korn, and I appear on some of the blogs as Demicorn, DEMICORN. You can find me at the Kobold Press blog site. I tend to lurk there a little bit, and every once in a while on the the other gaming forums.
One would think you've been doing this all your life.
We'll remember you said that.
I know. I'm sure you hate me just enough.
Rule 0.
Rule 0. Okay, we're going to talk about, by the way, this show is pretty much listener requests.
Yes, it is.
These are things that people have asked us once or multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of our listeners, Rotten, had asked us to talk about unarmed combat, which I swore this sounds like deja vu. Did we talk about?
No, we have not, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah, all the things we've done, we never actually talked. We talked about martial arts back in Splat Book 11, but we never talk about the unarmed combat rules in and of themselves.
Okay. Well, if you remember,
we've talked about them in passing when we did the Combat and Tactics show, and we did a couple other things as well with the different ways to handle both martial arts and the unarmed combat feats, or et cetera, and so forth, or unarmed combat proficiencies and so on.
Okay, so here's how it boils down to. Basic D&D, they didn't have any unarmed combat rules. In first edition, they kind of sucked.
they were needlessly complex. Yeah, they were needlessly complex.
Yes. In second edition, they don't suck as much, but they still do.
Why would you say that?
Because there's still the roll on the chart thing.
Right.
The roll on the chart thing is good. The rest of it is bad. The grappling is bad. The roll on the chart just to beat people is good.
Yeah, just to almost.
How is that good if you just want to slug somebody in the mouth with a left?
Well, again, you still got to roll to hit. That's a separate thing. After you've done that, I find it very, very easy to deal with in second edition, especially with the weapon proficiency slot system of how many slots did you put into unarmed combat or martial arts or whatever it is you did. That is how many points plus or minus on the chart you can choose and pick what it is you attempted. So if you put about 5 or 6 slots into unarmed combat because your character wanted to be a pugilist, a martial artist, a boxer, a pit fighter, whatever it is you wanted to call yourself, you have control of your response, your action, and you can pick a proper tactical maneuver to engage in unarmed combat with effectively and possibly get knockouts and do damage and all that other wonderful fun stuff.
Okay, this makes it a good thing.
Yep.
Because I did realize weapon proficiencies or non-weapon proficiencies entered into this.
Yeah, it can. If you wanted,
I really hated in first edition. Okay, I would just want to slug him with my left. What do you mean I kick him?
Yeah, exactly. That's the funny
I didn't
part.
want to kick him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, those tables were extremely complex, and they kind of didn't need to be.
Right.
So, I mean, first thing you had to do, you had to roll the hit, and then you had to roll percentile dice to see what you did. And,
right.
and you had bonuses.
Back to a D20 table.
Yeah.
It's that second part I had the problem with.
Yeah.
I don't mind rolling to hit. I mean, you're going to roll to hit anyway.
Yeah, correct. But I'm just saying then you had bonuses because of your strength, because of your dex, because of this, because of that, and it was horribly complex. And
it also came off like the secondary professions chart as kind of an afterthought.
Maybe. I mean, they could have done I think they could have done a better job in conveying it, but because they didn't,
But now we have efficiencies to use with that, which makes it better.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for correcting me, Svolon.
And it's very elegant the way it runs. Again, if you only put in 1 slot in it, 2 slots in it, whatever, okay, you get whatever you rolled, and you can go up 1 or down 1, or up 2, down 2. And that, gives you limited choices, but you can still, hey, I wanted to actually throw an elbow, or I wanted to punch him. I want to do a haymaker. And you have your separate charts as well for this is the grappling, this is the punching, and then later on you've got your martial arts table for what I call my generic form martial arts, short of OA martial arts.
Yeah, which is where I live and breathe. But I mean, I'm looking at the chart right now, which is table 43 on the revised second edition DMG.
Second printing?
Yeah, page 85, yeah.
85, okay.
Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at the damage, and some of it is good, but a lot of it doesn't make much sense. I mean, it's like some punches do only 1 point of damage, and some do 2. Now, a jab should not do 2. A jab should do 1. An uppercut should not do 1. It should do 2. See, I would probably go into this and revise it some, because some punches, as full on, this because you're in our armed forces and they teach you unarmed combat, that some punches do more damage as to where they're hitting as much as it is the force you're putting behind it. And some, like I said, the uppercut is 1 point of damage, which is ridiculous to me. It should be 2, if not 3. The wild swing they have is like no damage at all, because for some reason it's a miss, which is kind of weird. But, also your strength bonus gets put into this, and,
Strength bonus comes into play. A couple other factors can come into play as well, but the big thing is that this is really leaning more towards the battering and bruising, and it doesn't even really give you a die value of damage for a punch does this or a kick does that, because they reserve that for the martial art window of I'm an actual trained beat you to death with my bare hands guy versus I'm just slugging somebody. So it's okay. I'm okay with the little separation there, and I'm okay with it only being the 1 or 2 points. The trick is whether or not you're leaving that as, hey, we're not doing this whole quarter of all pummeling damage is real damage, and it's like 4 times your actual hit points or whatever. The whole thing like that is, hey, damage is damage is damage is damage. We're at the point where we're actually, if I punch you for 1 point enough times, I kill you because I just beat you to death.
Yeah.
And I don't have to do it 4 times over for the whole pummeling, the old value of, all a quarter of that is actual real damage and the quarter of it is not. That was always annoying, and I liked it going into the more real damage. Well, and because you don't want it saying, hey, my punch is as bad as a dagger. Okay, we get that as well. So the limited amount of damage, onesies and twosies here and there, isn't all that bad, especially if I happen to be doing it while I'm wearing my girdle of Storm Giant Strength.
Exactly.
Now, that brings up another point. As far as unarmed combat goes, now let's take martial arts as a separate thing here.
Yeah,
even though
we've covered that.
Even though boxing falls under that.
Yes, it is. Yes, it does.
Unless it's always been like the red-haired stepchild to combat in D&D because of the niggling amount of damage you will be doing.
Well, the way I agree.
Now, we all understand that unless you have 18 double-aught strength, wearing a Storm Giant strength girdle, and having gauntlets of ogre power, you're not going to be punching out any dragons anytime soon.
No, that's the whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you should be able to try and punch out that orc chieftain.
If you want, yeah, sure. And this chart here, this chart here kind of helps you with that. But, at the same time, it's like, it's going back to what Full-On said about the damage being, 1/4 real and 3/4 fake.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That kind of bugs me.
Well, yeah. Well, the way I've always done it is that you do your damage, and if you knock someone out by reducing them to 0 hit points, they stay unconscious for X amount of time, then they get back basically 3/4 of what the damage you did. I
mean, if I have 18 double-aught strength, I want something to show for it.
Of course. And, that's the funny part, because that +6 to damage that you get by having a gauntlets of ogre power, not to mention probably another +1 because you're actually wearing gauntlets, or +2 even, that comes into the point where, you can literally kill somebody by punching them in the kidneys or whatever.
But the point is I want to take them out.
Yeah,
I don't want
exactly.
to kill them. Yeah. I don't want this D4 crap.
Mm-hmm.
If I have once again, I'm going to say 18 double-aught strength, that's good for at least a D6.
Yeah, well, I agree. You get that +6 to damage regardless.
Not more.
Yeah, if you're trying to, knock out trying to knock somebody out. Yeah.
I get the feeling they did that just so you wouldn't show up like the sword.
Mm-hmm.
Or any other weapon.
Well, maybe.
That is exactly why they did that. They didn't want you to overpower the weapons, even if you had some other thing. It's just that, hey, it's a base 1 to 2. Hey, they even got generous in the martial arts table for just beating on people. They actually give a base value damage of 3 maximum. Mm-hmm. A whole lot of 1s, a couple of 2s. One thing does 3 points. They all have their knockout chance, and they all get the benefits of your strength modifiers. And you can actually beat the dog snot out of somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And they're much better named stuff in the martial arts result as versus the punching wrestling table.
I agree. Yeah, but go ahead.
That's what?
No, I was going to say that's just based because, the punching chart is exactly that. It's just basically Marcus of Queensberry rules, if you will, and you're basically using your fist to beat somebody down. Of course, martial arts, you not only use your fists, you can use your forearms, you can use your elbows, you can use your knees, you can use your feet, you can headbutt them, all that fun stuff.
But again, it's all vague anyway. They went the extra margin of going into specifics for these charts and tables.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Stepping away from the notion that the round of combat is vague. It is actually this much time, and out of that opportunity there's a series of flurries of blows and strikes and parries, out of which one blow actually really struck and did some kind of lasting damage, or at least was a strike that did that. Okay, I take away your hit points, but taking away your hit points does not mean in every single case and form I actually stuck something sharp through your flesh and cut you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm using up your luck. I'm using up your endurance. I'm using up all kinds of the rest of your resources prior to the last few strikes. Really, that first hit die on a character, about half of whatever you have for hit points is luck, training, and everything else. Luck, training, and endurance. The other half of it is the meat that actually gets to get killed, and that never really goes up.
Yeah.
Okay.
All the rest of your levels of hit points and hit dice have always been understood to be that old joke from the, Murphy's Rules book about he's sitting there whacking on the guy's neck with the axe and the headsman and I still got hit dice left, man. It's not like that.
Yeah, it's not. It never was. And it's never supposed to be like that.
But giving people the extra specificity of these punching tables, wrestling tables, martial arts tables for the quick roll, okay, it separates that out a little bit. So, hey, what if I wanted to say I kicked him? Okay, you kicked him.
Yeah.
What if I'm doing dirty fighting? Okay, you throw an elbow. It doesn't have to be a martial artist throw an elbow. It's a street fight.
Right.
You're going to throw elbows.
Yep, exactly.
Here's something. Mm-hmm. I recently found this PDF from Kevin Crawford. It's called Solo Heroes. running Labrador adventures with a single character.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in there they have a system of combat where you can take a regular module and break it down, and they're assuming the character's using a D6 weapon, which you can probably extrapolate for something that uses like D10 to 12, whatever. He's saying that the damage you do, if you're a single character, the damage is like if you roll a 1, that's nothing.
Yeah.
If you roll a 2 to 5, that's 1 point. If you roll a 6, that's 2 points.
I see.
Now, you could probably extrapolate that.
They kind of did, yeah.
To using that for unarmed combat for the hit points that the people have that you're hitting, including your own. Say you got a 3-hit die orc in front of you. You roll the 3 dice. Say he comes up with 17 hit points. Okay, look at the dice you roll. 1 is nothing. 2 to 7 is 1, and 8 is 2. Say you rolled 8, and a 1. So he's got 4 hit points. And that's what you're going against if you're going against him without any weapons, unarmed.
Yeah, because there's the other part about trying to fight somebody who is armed with a weapon and is aware of you. You have a -4 to hit against someone who has a weapon that is readied against you.
So you don't have somebody with their fist going boom, 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 trying to beat down those 17 hit points. You're just trying to beat down 4 hit points.
Well, yeah,
4 hit points to unconsciousness.
Yeah, I kind of disagree with that because, if you're going to try and beat down a 3-hit dice orc with your bare hands, you're going to have a bit of a rough time no matter what your level is.
I'm going to give you a Stallone quote. You broke that jaw.
Yeah. But
I don't see how a 3-hit die orc would be tougher than any gigantic thug barroom brawler.
Punch somebody with tusks.
Well, punch somebody with armor. But yeah, but getting back, let's get back to the chart because we touched on it. No, it's okay. Like Full-On said, you have this chart and you can always put weapon proficiencies or non-weapons into this chart, which means that when you roll your D20, you can, if you put 1 slot into punching and wrestling, if you try to punch someone, say you roll a 15. Now that's a jab on the chart. You can either up it to 16, which is a glancing blow, which does less damage and has a less chance of knocking your opponent out, or you can move it down 1 for an uppercut, which is a point of damage, but has a greater chance to knock out your opponent.
Right.
So, so every punch you hit, you go against that orc with, using your example, Glenn, there is a percentage chance that if you hit with a punch, no matter what it might be, you could knock him out.
Okay.
And that could be unconscious knockout, or at least just, you caught him in the solar plexus and he's completely winded and immobilized, okay?
Right.
And again, your issue that you had before about the points of damage that they do by the generic names they threw on things. If you'll notice, they repeat those names and those values change.
Yeah.
The uppercut that's at level 14 is only 1 point, but the uppercut that's a 2 is 2 points with a 15% chance for knockout.
Right.
So it's the awesome uppercut versus the glancing uppercut.
Uppercut.
Yeah. Okay. So you can get that variety in there again, depending on how you swing and what kind of results you got.
Yeah, exactly. And you can, like you said, and the more slots you put into it, the more you can alter your result on the chart, which is the kind of mild brilliance of this. It's like, it's not just static. It's like roll to hit and roll on the chart, but it's like you can also fix it so you can have the greatest chance to do better damage and also the percentage of knocking out your opponent.
Okay, it's not as simple as I would want, but it does work really well.
Yeah. There are a couple players I played with who always put like 1 or 2 slots into punching. Because there was always a barroom brawl, or the player characters were captured, and had their weapons taken from them, and they had to sneak around the enemy camp, just choking out orcs and things like that until they could find their weapons and armor again.
Brian.
Yeah.
I roll 5 slots deep, yo.
Oh Jesus. Yeah, that's pretty good, actually.
Yeah, I always seem to be obsessed with making a character, usually a dwarf with high enough strength so he could be Popeye. He could just go up to like a cockatrice, not cockatrice, but like a hydra and punch out every head, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's actually, cool, because there are just going to be some times, whether by design or force of circumstance, that you're not going to have your weapons or that you can't use your weapons. So yeah, right. It always behooves you to be able to knock somebody out.
Dwarven fighting monk wearing glove nails, elbow spikes, and knee spikes with 7 slots of Fighter's Handbook Martial Arts.
Okay, you can go home now.
Taekwondo leap, boot to the head.
Oh, God. Well, anyway, tell us your unarmed combat stories at THACOsHabber@gmail.com.
Is that good enough for you, Rotten?
Yeah. And we're going on to option package.
My personality undergoes a startling change.
You should meet me because I'm a great guy.
I like big fat men like you. When they fall, they make more noise. And sometimes they never get up.
Option package.
Option package. The Sages and Specialists Splat book. This is from, we've had multiple requests of this on OSR Gaming.
Yes,
and other places.
Mm-hmm.
And this was like the second to the last Splat book they ever put out.
That's correct.
And it is by Matt Forbeck, who designed it.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Winter was the creative director for this, so it's in pretty good hands.
Yeah, got some good art in it.
Yeah. It is, if I can read it here, because I don't have my glasses on, I'm trying to read. Okay, 1996.
Correct. Yeah, 1996.
Yes. And so it was the start of the end, pretty much the end of the Splat books, where they started giving the crappy covers that look so cheap and plastic.
I kind of like them.
Hate. Ugh.
Yeah, I kind of like them.
Shiny and, they peel and,
well,
it's stock number 2146.
Correct. Yeah, 2146.
And
go ahead.
When I first got this book, I was less than thrilled.
Really?
Because it basically had NPC classes in it.
Yeah.
And I thought NPC classes have no place in AD&D, especially second edition AD&D.
I could
you have your
you
have your classes and subclasses, and anything that the DM can write up as a class, the player should be able to write up as a class, which means I didn't want to see a whole bunch of NPC classes, basically.
Yeah. Well, I understand that, but this is more for the DM who has rather, I should say, their campaigns are, I won't go so far as to say they're NPC heavy, but they have quite a few. My game is like that, if you haven't noticed.
I will say it's for those GMs who have NPCs that have a very high potential of having a opportunity to be in direct conflict with characters. And you're either going to do one of two things prior to this book, and that's either have them be 0-level noob nothings that player characters never respect, or have them be closet 25th level fighters that characters suddenly learn to respect, but they hate the DM afterwards.
Yeah.
This is a way to put crunch and numbers and meat and hit dice and to hit values and some spells and some proficiencies with a rule codified behind it, so that you can say, I'm competent at my job, don't take me for a mook, I could hand you your butt. If you're not paying attention to me or respecting me, pay me for the services I'm going to render.
Any DM worth his salt could make an NPC do that. And that reminds me, another reason I was against this book is the fact, remember I said there should not be any classes that, if the DM has to have special classes, then the players should, because the players are going to ask. Yeah. I don't care if it is a street sweeper NPC class. Somebody out there is going to want to play it.
I'm willing to let them do it. In fact, I'm happily willing to let them do it, especially if you're going to have one of those campaigns where, you know what, I need some specialized knowledge in this campaign. I don't really have another source for it. There's nothing really out there for my class to get this kind of knowledge, and I don't want to be a bard. Or they can have the thing where this is your starting campaign, and guess what? That old story about your party, your adventurers came from somewhere. Well, guess what? You were a scribe. Guess what? You were an apothecary. Guess what? You were the blacksmith.
Mm-hmm.
Who was the bastard son of the king of the no.
Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, okay, what do we have here? We have
we have
11 chapters and an appendix.
Right. Now, we've woven through this book, woven, not weaving. You use English, Brian. Woven through this book is a story about a warrior who is looking for vengeance against a wizard throughout this whole thing, and throughout her story and her path of vengeance and, whatever else she's on, she runs into each one of the NPC classes, right, of which there are 10. There are 10 of them. Yeah, the apothecary, the appraiser, the blacksmith. Go ahead.
And some of them have subclasses.
No. They all have their separate ones. Which one?
They have specializations.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. The apothecary, the appraiser, the blacksmith, the cartographer, the engineer, the guide, the healer, the historian, the scribe, and the seer.
Yep. Now, out of all of these, I could see the appraiser, the blacksmith, the healer, and the scribe and the seer being the ones used the most out of all of these. But each one has the way they do these NPC classes is that they are similar to a specific main class. Like the appraiser is more like a thief, the apothecary is more like halfway between a wizard and a cleric. Actually, I'd say closer to the cleric than the wizard. But the healer is more like the cleric. The scribe, of course, is more like the mage. The seer is more like the mage. And what they did was they took the character class, pared it back a little bit so that while they were similar to the main classes in the game, they weren't exactly the same. And gave them, in compensation, gave them specific skills which make them, just by reading a description, you could, they make them useful.
Value added.
Yeah, value added. Exactly, Falon. You are right. So, I mean, just going into the apothecary, of course, they are the pharmacist, the modern, the medieval version of a pharmacist. So they know how to make potions. They know how to make various things from just chemical compounds. They can make certain magic items. They're able to cast spells, although their spell casting is extremely limited. I mean, very limited.
Yep.
It takes them to get to 8th level before they're able to cast 2nd level spells. That's how limited they are.
And every chapter is broken down the same.
Exactly.
Or should I say similar? Mm-hmm. Starts with experience, THACO, and hit dice, abilities, then ability scores, magical abilities, if any, spell failure, if any, specialization, permissible armor and weapons, individual experience awards, proficiencies, any new proficiencies that come with this NPC class, and specific things to the class, like the apothecary's laboratory.
Yes.
Or, the cartographer's studio, or something like that.
The blacksmith's smithy.
Right. And some of these, I said, have subclasses, and they're more like, under the guide, which is pretty broad. NPC class. You've got the hunter, the escort, the navigator, the interpreter, the mountaineer, the spelunker, and, other classes do this too.
Yeah. And the thing about this is the story, not only is it a pretty decent story.
I'm sorry, and each chapter ends with an example of that NPC class.
Right. And, how they would, and what they would be doing for, a PC that comes calling, and things like that. I mean, using my game as the example, you guys just literally rescued, an 8th level, blacksmith. Now, the way it is in the game, I'm going to skip ahead to the blacksmith, but the blacksmith, they are similar to fighters. They advance pretty much the same way as fighters, but the thing is they get each one of these classes gets more of their experience points from doing their jobs rather than adventuring. That's another major difference between them. And, the blacksmith is, he's similar to a fighter. He can use weapons like a fighter. He has the same THACO as a fighter, but he's not the one girding on his armor and going out and putting himself in harm's way. No, he's the one who's back in town creating armor, creating weapons, selling them, repairing such things, and, making his living that way. And the more he does it, the more experience, of course, he gets, and the better he gets at it. And,
you rock on there, Gendry Baratheon.
Exactly. Game of Thrones, right?
Yes.
Thank you. So yeah, you'll have to forgive me. I've kind of turned myself off to it, but we digress. But as I said, and like I said, another NPC you guys are probably going to run into at some point is the appraiser. I take that back. The blacksmith you guys rescue is 5th level, not 8th. My bad. But you're going to run into an appraiser because at some point, you're going to have gems, hard cash, hard currency, and, you're going to run into somebody who you're going to need to exchange that for gold for whatever reason you might need. And also the appraiser has this wonderful ability to identify magic items without using magic. They have a nice appraising skill that starts at like 10% and just goes up per level, and it just gets better. And of course, the more the more they do this thing, the more experience they get, the better they are, and the better reputation they have, which of course leads the party to come back to that person, provided they don't try to steal from him or do something stupid. I always
think of him as like less gold from Hardcore Pawn.
Mm-hmm.
What would you really take for this? See the flaw in there? Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, each one of these classes, is very useful, depending on what you need in the, in your campaign. I can see someone using a seer, a scribe, the hunts, the historian and things like that.
Cartographer, easily.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They also have a nice chapter.
We're working for one. We always worked for a cartographer when we were attempting to map Undermountain.
Wow.
And the last chapter shows you how to use them.
Mm-hmm.
Like level advancement for these characters. They do get level advancement.
Yes, they do.
And things like that. And also I love when they do this in books, when they put the appendix back there, the collected tables.
Mm-hmm.
So you just go kaboom, kaboom, okay, he does that,
Yep, exactly. All in the appendix, you have everything you need pretty much for what for generating a character really fast. You can just put okay, I want to make a 7th level healer. Okay, I have the stats for it. I can, and I could just generate it from there, and it's, then you have someone who the players can go to when they, either can't use or run out of their healing spells, or they're just stupid enough not to have a cleric in the party, but I digress.
And here's something that is handy. It's called gifts to specialists.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, okay, you want him to do something. What do you got that they really want?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like the apothecaries, like anything that helps them in their quest for improved concoctions, appraisers, all sorts of stuff, well-wrought weapons and finely crafted armor for blacksmiths.
Yep.
Better ways to build things. And this is also hooks for these kind of NPCs to send the characters out looking for this stuff.
Right. Yeah, Hattori Hanzo was I'd say like a 15th level blacksmith. Using a Kill Bill reference. But yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing. That's the other thing that players need to, if they're going to have these kind of specialized NPCs to help them along their adventuring career, it never hurts to give them something out of the kindness of their heart to say thank you.
That's right.
Not
even
just a strict business.
Even if it's just information to the historian.
Yeah. You give them what they need.
Stories, stuff about this tribe you met on your adventures, how people act, what the weather was like when you were there, that kind of stuff. That's valuable to them.
Yep.
And that'll get you favors.
Right. And that's also an easy way for, say, your beat up fighter character, who gets healed by healer to say, okay, when you go out into this area, I want you to find this herb, this herb, and that herb, get as much of them as you can and bring them back to me. And we'll call it even. Because the healer, if they can help it, they're not going to go out into a dangerous section of wilderness if they can help, unless they have to.
That's right.
Fighter type. How do I mine for fish? 1111.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh.
Anyway, this one. Oh.
Wow. I'm just okay. I'm just gonna be quiet now.
This one retailed for $20 at the time.
Yes, it did.
You can get it for at least half.
Yeah, you can get it for half.
Most half. Less probably half price or something.
Yeah, depending on where you go.
It's not that common, but it's not that rare either.
No,
it's one of those. You're looking through the stacks. Oh, look, Sages and Specialists. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not like I keep saying. It's not the Necromancer's Handbook, which is the most expensive splat book out there by far.
But it's not the Fighter's Handbook either.
Exactly. So somewhere in the middle. So go look for this. Tell us if you use it at thacoshammer@gmail.com. All right. Now we will move on to the snipe hunt.
If you only had a living brain.
What do you think? Escaped gorilla?
Listen, you're making enough noise to wake up the dead. I don't have to wake him up. He's up.
It's time for a snipe hunt.
Snipe hunt. Okay, from the prolific DM Kojo.
I can tell you're not happy with him already.
Using psionic monsters in the game. Well, you guys take it from here.
Yes, for those who don't know, yes, Glenn has a very serious aversion to psionics. He always has. Which
we will get to later on, because that leads me to another question, but I want to hear what you guys, you guys handle it first.
All right. Well, with psionics in 2nd edition, they weren't the be-all, end-all power that 1st edition made them, because God only knows, in my experience, playing and running first edition characters, aside from character generation and stuff like that, that was the one thing that most of the players I played with and DM'd wanted to know. Is their character psionic? Because they want to be able to kill things with their minds. So, but 1st edition psionics, of course, I believe were pretty overpowered. There was a very good chance you could have psionic ability if you had the stats to back it up. If you had psionic ability that could rival the gods.
Well, I wouldn't say good chance, but the chance was there, and I always had people check.
Yeah, of course.
See if I had it.
Yeah, exactly. And I run the same check in my game too. Although I skipped over you, Glenn, because I know you don't like them. Yeah. But as far as in 2nd edition, at the very least, most of the powers used against you, they don't work automatically. I mean, full on, you're going to have to help me out here, because I haven't run psionics in 2nd edition in a long time.
Very, very vast majority of actual, I'm going to mess with your mind with my mind powers, require contact to be established.
Correct.
That even still applies to all the various psionic critters and monsters out there. They have to spend some time trying to make contact, with the exception of the Mind Flayer, who can just do the ever-popular psionic blast, boom.
Yeah.
That's if you're going to use those powers. It's always, always, always much more effective as a psionic monster, creature, character, whatever, to utilize the powers and abilities you have to affect yourself or to affect the environment. I may not be able to reach in and telekinetically crush your throat, but I can throw a 300-pound rock at you just as well.
Yeah, if your telekinesis is good enough, yes, you can.
You can stop the other guy doing the same thing.
I mean, and it's all the variety of things that are out there. I mean, it could be as something as far gone as, I'm Akira, be nice to me or I'll develop psychokinetic powers and destroy Tokyo. Or it could be like the Rainmaker from Looper, which was a pretty awesome little kid who exploded people because he got pissed.
Oh, he's a pyrokinetic. Awesome.
Telekinetic.
Oh,
pyrokinetic would be Firestarter.
Yeah,
Again,
no, you're right.
Another really, really good psionic-based power movie.
Push, a good movie.
Yeah,
Jumper, a good movie. All those things are examples of how these could be a flavor in an event. But again, it's not about going in and meddling with people's minds and the whole Tower of Iron Will and, mind thrust, ego whip, all those things, attack defense modes. They're there. They're awkward still, but they're less awkward and less overpowering in this environment than they are in the old environment.
Yeah, well, and also the other thing is that even with the contact, even if a psionic monster creates the contact, if I'm not mistaken, Fawn, you're going to have to correct me if I'm not, but their subject still has a saving throw against the power being used against them.
Generally, yeah. And again, there's all kinds of stuff out there, too, because they have it where that, yes, now magic affects psionic, psionic affects magic. Yeah. So you can hold off a psionic creature with protection from evil. You can hold off a psionic creature with power word kill.
Yes, you could.
You can use a death spell. You can use, there's the protective magics that protect against magic also protect against psionics and vice versa.
Yes, certain ones do.
They put everybody on an even footing, so it's just magic by any other name with just a different system to put it into play.
Correct.
And Jumper wasn't all that great a movie.
Had Samuel L. Jackson in it.
Yeah, but to balance it out, it had Hayden Christensen.
Oh God, are we going to start that again?
Yeah. So it's kind of a neutral.
Hey, I'm going to tell you to go watch Push then. That way you have a variety of powers to deal with instead of teleporting.
Yeah. And what's her name? Yeah. Okay,
your question, Glenn?
My question. Did I have a question?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
You did.
We should talk about how to handle creatures with psionic powers in a campaign that does not have psionics in it.
Well, the easiest way to do it is to find the equivalent spell abilities and give them to that monster. That's the easiest way to do it.
Okay.
Now, the thing is that now there's a debate about what a monster or being who has psionics and also has physical abilities, whether or not they can use both. Now, I've always said it all depends. There are certain beings like most Tannerite, mind flayers can do it, but at the same time, I've always run a mind flayers are tough enough, but I've always run mind flayers as they can do one or the other. Or they could, if they want to grab you and try to suck your brain out through your skull, well, they can have at that. But at the same time, they're not going to be able to use both, because that.
And if you don't have psionics in your campaign, and you don't want psionics in your campaign, and you want to make it tougher than them just casting. You give them the ever-popular spell-like abilities.
Well, yeah, that's what they would be.
That's all they really are, and that's how you work that. I mean, take a look at the entry on page 251 for the Mind Flayer, where you have the whole entry for them and how to just run them in a generic, non-psionic campaign. And then, if you want to have a full-bore psionic campaign, they have a whole paragraph block down there on psionic illithids, which would, in my mind, be a non sequitur statement.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the whole thing. It's tough. If that's the thing about psionics is that, yes, they can affect any living being, but they've got to work at it. They've definitely got to work at it. And, their abilities that they use are not just automatic. They have to get the contact before they get the domination.
Right.
They have to establish contact with a mind before they can mentally dominate you with that power.
Right.
And most of the other ones they have are self-affecting. So in a combat, if the fight's going against a mind flayer and it's about to die, on its action, provided it doesn't get killed in the meantime, all it's got to do is just roll, its intelligence score, and it'll teleport out of there. It'll leave. Because, that's what they do. They aren't the stay and fight types, but we can get into that another time.
There's a sneak up behind you.
I'm going to introduce you to stats that I had written up for a Mind Flayer monk.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Every show we do, I'm going to tell you a thing that is just going to make your nurglies curl up into their roots, and you're going to go, no, I'm going up the tree. It's not coming near me.
Yeah, okay, then it'll just stand there and mind blast you.
Yeah, I have to get the Ghiblies every show now. Okay, fine. Anyway, I hope you're satisfied, Kojo. Anyway, you can talk about Psionics and whatever. I don't have to read it at THACO'sHemorrhageDaniel.com.
Wow.
Which I probably will anyway. Let's go to Getting Out of Dodge, please.
This is it. This is what? If I take one more step, it'll be the farthest away from home I've ever been.
Getting Out of Dodge.
Getting Out of Dodge. All right, from multiple requests on the boards, the Karator box set.
Yes, sir.
Which you have in your hot little hands, don't you, Brian?
Sitting right.
Arigato gozaimasu.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
Okay, this is the supplement it is a first edition supplement. Let's get that out of the way right now.
Yes.
Because there are a lot of people who think it's second edition, and it's not.
Oriental Adventures has a weird history between first and second edition.
Well, yeah.
It is the bridge book. It is the book with no addition.
It's like, yeah.
You must flow with no form like water.
Yeah, the game with no country. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let me give a little description as I skip over the 3 modules that I have in my box set. In Karator, they have 2 books and 4 posters. Now, I'm underestimating the posters because they're not just poster wall sized, they're double-sided. This is one of the few supplements I've ever seen, campaign supplements I've ever seen that has maps that are double-sided.
So they make you buy 2 copies of the box so you can get all the stuff.
Did that to a lot of things, actually.
I don't remember.
Which was Night Below.
Night Below is double-sided maps. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I'll say that. But in these 2 supplement books, which I am studying right now, I think they're both 192 pages. No, one's 96, one's 192. I take that back. Actually, I take that back. They're both 96. It's just they started the second book at page 97. That's what it was.
Weird numbering, too.
Yeah. Now, they decided I kind of think that when they put out Oriental Adventures in 1985, that they had wonderful character classes, proficiencies, magic items, spells, what have you, but they only devoted like a very small part of that supplement to the actual campaign setting.
Right.
And
are you kidding? Do you know how many pages long the honor chapter is?
I know how long it is. I'm well familiar with that. But I'm talking.
Oh, you mean there's more to the world than that? Oh, wow.
Yes. Yeah. So they decided.
I made the funny.
Karator is basically, I want to say, ancient China, ancient Japan, or feudal Japan. Not ancient China, but China, feudal Japan, with a little bit of Korea thrown in, with a little bit of Vietnam thrown in. I mean, small amounts. It's mostly China and Japan.
Asia and Southwest Asia, just generically.
And also Mongolia, of course. So this supplement, I was reading through it a few days ago, and they've got, I can see where they've tried to save space because, I kind of think they needed a second supplement to really seriously cover Shulong and Kazakura, China and Japan, respectively. Because as you're going through these, they tell you about, monasteries, towns, who's in the town, the government and politics, and they give, a 1 to 3 paragraph description of the NPCs, but like I said, it's really bare bones because I think they had a lot of space issues.
Right.
But yeah, it goes into adventuring, gives you adventure little plots and little twists and stuff like that. It gives you more in depth about how most Asian towns and cities work, respective to the countries that they're in. I mean, and the funny part about it is that they decided to stick this in Forgotten Realms. Now, a lot of
room.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's room. Oh, there's way too much room. Because I remember when I was playing a second edition campaign, and it was a choice of the party where we wanted to go, because we were deciding if we wanted to go here, there, or over there, and someone threw out the idea, let's go to Karatur. Or the DM kind of gave us little hints about it, and he told us point blank, if you journey overland, it's going to take you at least a year of game time to get there. Because, that's the whole thing, because there's this whole, I want to say
Horde lands.
Yeah, the Horde lands and whatever else is in there.
Dragonspire Mountains.
Yeah, all kinds of fun stuff. But the whole thing is that they wanted to preserve the unattainability, the unattainability of this region as it was, back in like the 1400s, or excuse me, 1500s when,
Muhammad going over them,
yeah, something like that. So, I'm just, as I'm reading it, they have, Yakuza clans and ninja clans and all this kind of stuff. I mean, it's really good, but you really have to devote some time to fleshing a little more of it out. It just gives you a bare bones look at it, and it gives you the maps, it gives you the towns, it gives you the cities, and it gives you the rundown of what's going on, but it's not in heavy detail. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
And you can always take the option, of course, you don't have to go all in and import artificially all of Real Earth Asia into your D&D setting of choice.
Yeah.
Which is really what they do with Karatur, is just this is a sampler of all of it, pick and choose your best parts. We have it just kind of vaguely, everything else about the D&D worlds, Forgotten Realms in particular, as they laid out everything, they kept everything unique, and, Ed's a wonderful guy and a very creative guy, and by the time he got to Karatur, it was just like, he did the same thing that Howard did. It's over there and it's Asia. Where you find Asia, go east. Yep. It just breaks too many brain cells, apparently, for people to head to the unattainable Deep South.
What we have here
where people make houses of rice. But you could just as easily do that for your D&D world. You don't have to lockstep it in. If you want more monks and more Emperor's Guard, cool. If you want more feudal Japan samurai and ninjas, you can. You don't have to stick too much with one and not enough with the other unless you want all of that flavor in together.
Right. And, of course, these maps are fully compatible with the clear sheets that are in the Forgotten Realms box set, which kind of gives you a little bit more of an idea as a DM as to how far, how long it's going to take for the party to get from here to here, either going overland or using roads or whatever. The other thing is, this was one of the major arguments about Oriental Adventures when it came out, back in '85, was that, if you went exactly historical with feudal Japan, now I'm not a history buff, but from the things that I've read and studied about Japan, and I have studied a lot, back in feudal Japan days, it was like, it was really restrictive. Everything, it was extremely regimented as to exactly what you could do depending on your skill set or even the lord that you served under. And
it's a caste system.
Yeah.
It's like the class system in Britain, only a lot more restrictive.
Oh, extremely much so. But, the reason why I bought the box set, I'm trying to remember when. I think it was like in the early to mid 90s, I think, when I bought it, was because in my Mystara campaign, there is their own respective China and Japan. Yep. And rather than going by what was in the Dawn of the Emperor's box set, which I found extremely unsatisfactory when it came to that part, I decided, you know what? I'm going to go get the KaraTor box set and I'm going to plop that in. I'm just going to, merge it all together, and that's how it's going to be. The issue with my world is that their versions of China and Japan are nowhere near as isolated as KaraTor is from the rest of the realms. So,
China makes it in everywhere. I mean, it even showed up in Eberron. So
yes, it did. You're right.
It gets its own flavor out there all the time. Ninjas sneak in everywhere. Monks sneak in everywhere.
Yep.
Super soldier samurai sneak in everywhere. They're everywhere. They're ubiquitous. They're as prevalent as friggin' dark elves with 2 scimitars.
Oh. Now, Brian, I have a rather mundane question about the box set.
Shoot.
Did it include blank character sheets?
No, it did not.
It did not have one in the book that you could copy or anything?
I don't believe so.
I wanted to see if
I'll double check it.
Okay. I want to see if they actually put the revised second edition there where they add remember when they talked about when Oriental Adventures came out and second edition, well, you going to update this? No.
Hey.
What do I use for a character sheet?
Well, Glenn, you know what they did, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm going to adjourn briefly to my bookcase to determine it. I think they did that with the Complete Ninja's Handbook.
Yeah.
Which was like the last definitive source about Asian classes and things like that.
Okay, so they added like the honor thing on there and everything.
They tried to pack way too much into KaraTor, and they didn't do it. In my opinion, they didn't do it right, because they should have had stuff like the terminology right up front, but instead they just went right into the region and stuff like that. It's kind of weird. The only one that could be more or less used with an Oriental campaign would be either the green sheets, the green character sheets that TSR came out with, or you could use the old first edition sheets.
First edition orange sheets.
Yep.
Break out your Ninja Monk sheet.
Orange and tan, yeah.
Yep. Okay. Well, that's a shame. They never did that.
Yeah,
I think you probably get it from Mad Irishman or something.
Well, God only knows he's got sheets for everything else.
That's true.
And as a matter of fact, you know what? He does, because I just remembered. He's got a couple sheets like that.
Okay. So how much was the set in the day?
This set retailed for, if I can find my back cover real quick, the set retailed for $15, believe it or not.
Wow. And I don't know what it goes for today.
Oh, it's not as rare as you might think, but you might pay like $30, because I bought this one off of eBay, I said, in the 90s, so, I did end up paying somewhat of a premium for it, but it wasn't too bad. It wasn't like, a gazetteer that I really wanted and I paid $80 for.
Right.
That happened 15 years ago and it still bothers me.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can find it. It's out there. Look on eBay.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can find it at like Half Price Books or a bookstore, complete, even better. Probably a better price too.
Yeah. Go to like you said, like Half Price Books, eBay. I would use eBay as our last resort because the prices get inflated. I would use something like Noble Knight, which is good. They usually carry the rarer stuff. It is a little more expensive, but I've been using Noble Knight for a long ass time and I've never had any problems with them. They're good.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Check them out. Tell us about it. THACOsHammer@gmail.com. And at long last, we get to close this splat book.
Thanks to the wonders of technology, yes.
Isn't it a miracle?
Mm-hmm. Amen, brother.
Science!
Yes! Say goodbye, Full-On.
Goodbye, Full-On. Oh, hey, goodbye, Gamer Nation. We'll talk at you again later.
Ryan?
And until next time, if you're a samurai, remember, obey your lord or you're going to die. Simple.
True. And I'm DM Glenn saying we'll see you next time when the hammer comes down on THACO's Hammer. Bye-bye. Okay, let's see. We got a Sage, Samurai, Psionic, Monk. There we go. No, we said Samurai. Yeah. Psionic Samurai. Oh, I didn't even start with that.
Yep.
Sage, Samurai, Psionic, Monk.
THACO's Hammer theme is provided by the Diablo Swing Orchestra. You'll find them on Jamendo.com. All other additional music for this episode was provided by Kevin MacLeod. You'll find more of his music on Incompetech.com. Be sure to visit our website at thacoshammer.info. If you have any questions or comments, email us at thacoshammer@gmail.com. Remember, that's an O, not a 0. You can also find us on the second edition forums at osrgaming.org and at purpleworm.org. Or give us a call and leave us a voicemail at 405-806-0555. See you next time when the hammer comes down on THACO's Hammer.